We usually lock the door in the dark room. This is the shortstop, which is acetic acid. It stops the development. It smells like vinegar. Kodak developer is mixed here already. And we mixed part two to about 70 degrees. And I view it. Windblown Jackie. Place the negative. And then we blow the dust. Dust off. Dust off. In my whole career in shooting Jackie, which is over 10 years, the best week was this October week, 1971, where one week I got it 5 times. Started the 4th. I got pictures of Jackie watching Jacqueline Kennedy playing tennis. The agents got in my way, sort of, and then Jackie all of a sudden took off into the fields of Central Park. And she gave me a workout. Luckily, I kept up with her. I got her crossing the street here. One of my great shots. In fact, it sold several times. Then the 5th, I got Jackie shopping at Bombatellas, all the way from her apartment coming out. And then one of another great shots that ran in several books, my book, but also ran in Gucci's book, where, because she's wearing a Gucci bag. And the same day, the 5th, I got her earlier in the afternoon when she picked up Caroline at school and they went shopping. And I got in, the agents blocking me there. And that was the 5th. The following day, I got Jackie again at the corner, 85th and 5th, about to cross. And then I covered other events. And then, of course, the 7th was my great day when I got the Windblown Jackie, which I call my Mona Lisa. A model needed portfolio pictures, and she lived on 88th Street. So I picked her up, said, let's go to the park here. And I photographed her in the park. Her name was Joyce Smith. On the way out, we go to the corner, we cross the street, and there's Jackie coming out the side door, walking toward Madison Avenue. Should I follow her and grab pictures of her there? No, I said, get in the cab. For $2, I caught up to her, shot 2 shots of her profile. When the taxi driver blew his horn, she turned, and I got my greatest shot, Jackie, windblown. I call it the Mona Lisa smile. I don't think she knew it was me. That's why she smiled a little.
In certain primitive tribes, we're told, the natives have a horror of being photographed. They fear the photographer will steal their very souls. Actually, there's a tribe right here in America that feels the same way. This is where Katharine Hepburn lives. And over here is where Ron Galella is staked out in the rain. That's his wife, Betty, holding the umbrella. The house is surrounded by a thick 8-foot hedge.
A paparazzo needs a viewpoint, and we have to create it sometimes.
Don't do too much, Ron, please.
Galella's gardening backfires. The chauffeur quickly starts the car.
Alert.
Galella senses that something is about to happen. He's right. The chauffeur has pulled the car between the front door and Galella's bush, blocking his shot. Miss Hepburn escapes unphotographed, but Galella has one more chance. Miss Hepburn is starring in a play at a downtown theatre. He hopes to beat her there. Why do all this just for a picture of an actress who yearns to stay out of public view?
Katharine Hepburn is a tremendous superstar. And this is one of the reasons why I have to get good pictures of her recent in my file. She's a very difficult personality because she guards her privacy very much.
This time, Galella's tactics work. The limo pulls into the theatre garage, and as Galella said later, I got her. We asked Galella if harassing a 71-year-old woman in this fashion was a decent way to go about making a living.
I believe in what I do, and I do not have any guilt. The people out there want a glimpse of her, want to know her habits, her lifestyles. Even if she's private, the fact that she shields herself with an umbrella, that picture is interesting. It reflects her personality.
When you think of Ron, he was a gentleman,
Selfish, creep,
soft-spoken,
money-grubbing, or scum,
polite.
second-rater. That's what he is.
Well, I always found him to be a delightful, charming person.
Everything you wouldn't think Ron Galella would be.
I love the guy. I think he's like a national treasure.
In the 70s and the 80s, Ron was really treated like a leper.
A major nuisance
The worst kind of human being.
to society in general.
Just another putz.
A pain in the butt.
He's just that pain-in-the-ass photographer.
He did for the living what Ouija did for the dead.
They knew he would be there. They didn't know when.
He caught them at a moment in time when they were not ready for the picture.
He was like a kid, you know. He was like, oh, what did I do that was so wrong? You know, I just took pictures.
He approached everything with that innocence.
He wanted to show the humanity, but he also wanted to glamorize that humanity.
You know, day and night, he would be out there shooting.
Sometimes extra security was posted just to alert people if Ron Galella was coming.
He went to extreme lengths to get a shot.
Ron Galella is showing it just like it is.
The end result of his work seems superior to me.
Clearly, you're very interested in the history of photography and everything. Why are you making a piece on Ron Galella?
When Ron offers instruction or tips to young aspiring photographers, I think it's clear that he gives a bit more, offers a bit more than you might get if you were in photography school, where you learn how to use the camera and compose the subject and develop the pictures and so forth. He gives tips that would probably be classified as tips on how to be sociopathic.
Learn to sneak in to events, crash events. Always dress right. Any event, I always had a suit on. I never check your coat. In the winter, you leave your coat in the car. Without a coat, it looks like you belong there. You took a break outside or something. Be aware where the kitchen is. That's one way of getting in any hotel, the kitchen. And another way of sneaking in is to forge credentials. Find somebody that's invited, go to Kinko and duplicate it, and you get your name in. Shoot fast. The reason why you're shooting fast, two reasons. One, you want to get the surprise expression. And the way I shoot is this way. Look at the subject with a wide-angle lens. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Not look through the lens. You don't see the subject's eyes. You don't see the detail. And the second reason you shoot fast is in case the star says, no pictures. You don't want no pictures. And he means it. So you say, okay, and you leave him. But you're ahead because you got the one or two shots before. You have to be one up on these people. This is the art of paparazzi. This is the lobby of the hotel. There's stairs here and there's stairs here. It's in this room. This is the West foyer. Today we're going to the Waldorf Astoria where there's an event, Jackie Robinson Foundation Annual Awards Dinner, where Robert Redford is being honored. go in, go this way. Either way leads to this. This is the entrance to the West Foyer. But you could bypass this stairs and go right into the ballroom. And there's all these doors. That's one way of sneaking in. The other way is there's stairs here that lead up to the first balcony. And you come down the stairs and you're in this way. You get it? Okay, so let's go down. I have to get my camera downstairs. Let's go down. Yeah. My purpose really is to get pictures of Robert Redford and present them with my book. Okay. Let's go. Look, dear. We're running a little late, which is bad because they're going to go into the ballroom and go to their tables. It's going to be hard for me. I'm going to try, of course, to give them the book then. My career, it's necessary to sneak in because I'm a freelancer and you're last on the list to get invited. Because these people, they're like Gestapo, these press agents. Who's filming here?
It's called Salt with Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, she's here. Angelina Jolie is in this movie. She's not here. She's not here. Too bad. I'd rather shoot her than Redford. Well, this is the West Foyer. This is where the reception's supposed to be, unless it's the other side. I'm a little late. West Foyer?
Yeah, everything's finished up, though. We just finished up about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to try to go the other side and get into the private reception, supposedly. Excuse me. Hello. Where's Robert Redford?
Huh?
Where's Robert Redford?
Where?
Yeah.
I have no earthly idea.
Excuse me. Is Robert Redford in the room here?
Yes, he is.
Where is he?
Right in the middle of that cluster of people.
Excuse me. Oops, sorry. Excuse me.
Yeah, you gotta get in there.
Yeah. Robert, hi. I'm here late.
How are you?
Could you give me a couple of shots?
Sure.
Okay. Bob, 1 minute. I want to give you the book. I want to hand it. You don't mind them you give me the book?
Listen.
Yes.
Give me the book. I gotta get in there.
Yeah, of course. You're in the book. Here.
I'll come get it. I'll come get it for you.
No. I want to hand it to Robert. Yeah. Here he is. Shake hands. Thank you. Okay. We got it. See? Luckily it came out.
Ron, he's sort of singularly unaware of the impression that he gives to people. You know, when you drive up to his house, his name is Ron Galella, and he lives in New Jersey. And you drive up to his house for the first time and you go, my God, it's The Sopranos.
These are the pictures from no pictures from the book.
Targets of the lens label the paparazzo a parasite, a personality profiteer. Galella's life is filled with rejection.
Yeah, put it in the trunk. You know how to open the trunk. How did I get started in paparazzi? My mother was interested in glamour, movies, the accents of Cary Grant, David Niven, and even Ronald Colman, who she named me after. But it was the United States Air Force that gave me my career. Shot celebrities coming to the base for the base newspaper.
You got 3 Robert Redfords.
Right.
And then the 12 Steve McQueens.
Right.
You know, great, isn't it?
Yeah. Very good. These are all 30 by 40.
Who is this?
Just Catherine Deneuve, French actress. Oh, yeah. Mick Jagger, Bruce Springsteen, and
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
All right.
A photographer, you have a good gimmick. You see a pretty girl on the street, you say, oh, I want to take a picture. That way you could get acquainted and shoot pictures of her. And I placed her in nice settings and make it interesting. I used my artistic background, and I loved it, you know. They're all 16 by 20, all 12 each. That's why he gives me big discounts. 145 each.
Stop. That's 175, 17.
Well, that's 75, that's not 4.
Yes.
Oh. And what, you charge extra for the scanning? 150 is a lot. Why don't you make it less? Now, if you give me a good price, I could order 3 more for me. I'll bet you he goes down in the price. He'll go down in the price.
The paparazzi are defined as pests at best, leeches at worst.
Does the pop part come from the popping of flashbulbs, perhaps?
I suppose a paparazzi is somebody who has no definite appointment to take your picture.
The definition of paparazzo comes from the Italian mosquito.
They buzz around. They are like insects, actually. And they also sting.
The term paparazzi comes from this film, in which one of the pack is actually named Paparazzo.
Welcome to Staley Live.
Hi.
Sorry I'm late.
This is great.
I gave you additional 3. Amsterdam wanted 2. You mentioned Mick Jagger.
The real paparazzi are the ones who come up with these amazingly creative ways of invading somebody else's privacy.
For new book proposals. They did 2 of my books, both are successful.
Name of the game is, I think that celebrities, that they want to control their image. They want to control the press. And I'm saying, no, I want to control. I'm the artist. This is my medium.
Ron, do you want to be somebody famous?
I am. I am Ron Galella, paparazzo superstar.
Photography, it's the easiest medium in which to be competent. Anybody can, with a point-and-shoot camera, can take a competent picture. But it's the hardest medium in which to express some kind of personal vision, because there is no touch, there is no hand, there is no physicality. The fact that you can have something that's recognizable from 50 feet across the gallery as a Diane Arbus or an Irving Penn or whatever, the fact that you can have recognizable authorship, it means they really have done something. Because it's a damn hard thing to do.
There's probably about 3 million plus images down here between prints, slides, and negatives, give or take a couple 100,000.
When I designed this whole layout, there was so much material that I had to make the aisles a little small, narrow, because there's so much binders here for color that I have to go sideways in it, see? I can't. In fact, even in the furnished room here, we have files, see? Come over here. Here we have what is known as the S room with Paul Newman, Ronald Reagan, and Robert Redford, and John Travolta, and Sinatra, of course, S. Look at that, look at this file. It's all Sinatras, at least 2 rows of Sinatra. Then we have Paul Newman down here, Robert Redford over here, John Travolta over there.
For all the Golden Globe Awards and the Academy Awards, he's covered them since 1968.
Most famous people already have their obituaries written up by, the New York Times, all those kind of newspapers. So we try to do the same thing with photographs. If someone is either sick or, we know that, unfortunately they're going to die soon, something like that, we try to do those pictures immediately so they're available for publication. It sounds a little morbid, but that's basically how we, make the money. Some Billie Jean King, who's got a big file. Got her in 1972. There's a few shots of her with Elton John in some of these pictures. This shot's ridiculous. That's going on there. We have a bunch of Andy Kaufman from the Fridays show back in the early 80s. And we just found pictures of Larry David and Kramer from Seinfeld. He didn't make prints of them because he didn't know who they were at the time. They were just random writers for the show, and he was taking pictures of Andy Kaufman. I mean, we thought that was a pretty big find.
Princess Di, I did not photograph her a lot because she rarely came to New York. I only got about 5 or 6 takes. But she was nice. We all miss her. It was all Michael Jackson. You see, it has a big file. He's with his Emmanuel Lewis and Brooke Shields. Sometimes he wore masks for sanitary reasons. He saw me, he rolled down the window. He shook my hand. Donald Trump, the silhouette of him, and Diana Ross. This is an early picture when he was black, before surgery, a little surgery. He went to see Cats at the Winter Garden Theater, and he had his hand up. And this picture ran in Us magazine, double-page spread. Just his hand, imagine that, just Michael Jackson's hand, big picture.
He falls into the grand tradition of street photographers. Street photographers can shoot a lot of frames very quickly, and you're probably guaranteed there's going to be something in there that's usable, if not great.
But what matters is, did you get the picture? And was the picture used? Did you make money on it? Then you've done your job. Then you've done it. And that is where Ron, he couldn't care less about the people.
He's passionate about what he does. In fact, it is the passion that separates him from so many of the others. I think the thing that really drives Ron is you never know. You never know what's going to happen. He's got this kind of almost childlike curiosity. And there's, to him, an excitement about you never know what's going to happen.
Stuff like that. It's so nice of you to come.
Pardon?
How old are you?
77. Still going. More books.
You're too old to hide in the bushes now, though.
No, the gold is in the files. My first take of Jackie was May 1967. Very first take. And she went to the Wildenstein Gallery, and it was impossible to get pictures in the museum because it was just crowded with people. And her date was Andre Mayer. He's a financier. So I waited for her to come out, and I followed them, and I found out where Jackie lived, 1040 Fifth Avenue. And then from then on, it was a marathon.
Jackie Onassis, incredible story because of the controversy around her. She was married to probably one of the greatest presidents ever, and she ends up with this Greek tycoon who's 30 years older than her.
It was unimaginable for her to marry Aristotle Onassis.
Jackie had just come out of mourning. What, are you going to harass her? I mean, she's got the kids, she got the things, trying to make a life.
Her fame then was so compelling, and it kind of remains.
Whether it was news about Jackie O and how she was feeling that day or what was going on in her life. I mean, that was news.
You know, and she didn't really court publicity, but got it and went out infrequently. She maybe went out maybe to a function maybe once a month. So, you know, unless you waited outside of her house.
September 24th, 1969, I arrived here. I went to the next door neighbor over there at 1045 and asked the doorman, who was very friendly to me, and I tipped him off, usually $10 to $15, and he said, they're on a bike in Central Park, John Jr. and Jackie. I immediately went up the path there, and I saw them approaching this path and hid behind that tree there. See that girl is jogging? Right there is when I shot the pictures. She never saw me until I got out of the bushes. And Jackie turned to me. She was right here. Oh, it's you again. In the meantime, their top agent, Mr. Connolly, comes on a bike. He said, you had enough. And I said, yes, I'm leaving. Jackie said, Mr. Connolly, smash his camera. The agents come running after me, and they said, give us the film. But I said, no, you're not getting the film. I slammed the trunk of my car with the film and camera in there. And then they said, get in our Secret Service car, and they drove me to the 19th precinct, and they arrested me.
This gave Ron, he felt, a justification to sue Mrs. Onassis for harassment. And he filed a $1.3 million legal suit against her for blocking him from taking pictures from earning a living. Mrs. Onassis countersued, again for harassment, claiming that he was terrifying her and her children by stalking her the way he did.
I thought she would settle out of court, but she decided to go to court because Aerie paid the bills. Aerie's bill came to $500,000. And my lawyers, they only charged me $40,000 for the whole thing. It was a bargain.
Every publication throughout the world wanted to photograph Mrs. Onassis during the course of this trial.
There were lines outside the courtroom, just waiting to come in and see Mrs. Onassis, who was in trial every day.
There was Martin London representing Mrs. Onassis. There was Al Julian and myself representing Ron Galella.
And I was there representing the Secret Service, who were guarding Carolyn and John. Jackie had lost her protection when she married Mr. Onassis. That's the law. But children of a former president get Secret Service protection until they're 18 years old.
Mrs. Onassis took advantage of that. When the children was with her, the Secret Service were there, and she had the advantage of that.
All of these pictures have been taken in public places. Now,
If there's going to be restriction on the right of a photographer to operate in public places, that's for a judge to say, not for a lawyer.
Would you say then that this may very well be a precedent-making case?
I don't think there's any question that there are very vital precedents involved here. There's a conflict, perhaps, with respect to rights of privacy, and there certainly is a conflict with respect to what's the right of the press and what's the right of the photographers serving the press.
I tried the case with my late partner, Alfred Julian, and he was questioning her. And of course, the big constitutional issue is, are you a public person? If you are, it's not free reign, but you certainly don't have the kind of protection that a private individual would have. And she was asked, do you consider yourself a public figure? And she said, no. And he turned to the 200 photographers and journalists that were there and said, I guess they're all here to see me.
The judge at the trial, he asked us, everybody, to put in proof as to how famous was Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. It came down to 2 and only 2 women. There was no discussion about a movie star. There was no discussion about a television star. The discussion was Queen Elizabeth, Jackie Kennedy Onassis.
Ron's lawyers persistently tried to prove that the photographs showed that Jackie was not at all terrified, that most of the pictures showed her smiling. So how can that indicate someone's alarmed? Julian asks, isn't that a smile on your face? Jackie responds, no, I'm walking very fast and the photographer is restricting my passage. Julian asks, does this picture show you frightened or alarmed? Objection, overruled. I couldn't say, sir, answers Mrs. Onassis. Julian, are you looking at the camera? Are you smiling? Mrs. Onassis, my mouth is open, sir. Are you smiling? No, sir. Oh, but does this show someone frightened? It could be, sir.
All she had to do is walk out and say, good morning, Mr. Galella. Kept a straight face and got into a taxi.
He would have had a really dull picture. But Jackie running across away from him in Central Park is an incredible picture.
First ladies don't run. Can you imagine Pat Nixon and Barbara Bush running, you know?
If you stalk somebody time after time after time, it's depressing, it's demoralizing on the subject for him to have great art, right? Quote unquote.
We don't have a sort of general right of privacy. We have a right of privacy against the government in a lot of ways, but we don't have a right of privacy against each other.
Why should he be deprived of making a living? He wasn't doing anything criminal. He was never charged with anything criminal. We felt strongly on his side about it. He had a right to make that living. She was in such tremendous demand.
So what does that
every
mean?
magazine.
So what does that mean? Does it mean he can do whatever it takes to take a picture?
Can't commit a crime.
You know, this is all part of the journalistic First Amendment bullshit. The First Amendment deals with the substance of the photograph. I have no problem with that. What I have problem with is what the so-called journalist does to get it. The argument that the public is entitled to know the truth is bullshit. The journalist... You don't have to be a journalist to have a First Amendment right. Everybody has a First Amendment right. So he has a right to take a picture of somebody on a public street. Now the question is, what's the law? Can you take a picture from across the street? That's probably not very offensive. Can I jump out immediately in front of you and stick a camera 6 inches from your nose and jump up and down and jump backwards? Can I do it every day? Can I scare your children? Can I make your life miserable? Not an easy question to answer. It's a slippery slope.
Back off the drive, gentlemen. Back
This is an alliance between the photographers, the celebrities, the publishers, and the readers of the magazines and the viewers of the programs on television. You can't separate any one of those pieces of the alliance.
People since the dawn of time have been interested in the celebrities of their world. And I think that we truly are born with a gossip gene. When we're at high school, everybody gossips about the in-group. In England, they gossip all about the royal family, and they've been doing that for like 2,000 years. And I'm sure back in the day, people were gossiping about the pharaoh and the pharaoh's wife.
In the days of the silent movies, at the very early days, the audience didn't know who the stars were because the producers were worried that if the stars became a commodity in their own right, that they would demand too much money. It went from stars being completely anonymous to the stars being very well known because the producers realized that it's almost like a product extension. If you've got a movie, if you can then sell stories about the stars in the movie.
But it was a very different kind of celebrity from what we have today because it was rare. It was scarce. The studios controlled it. They decided what we needed to know. It was the death of the studio system that launched whatever is going on now.
I think it really began when Eddie Fisher and Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton went to Rome to do Cleopatra, and suddenly the affair began between Burton and Taylor, and the whole world was interested.
It was blatant on the set that there was this affair going on. And then all hell broke loose. Paparazzi with their Vespas and scooters and chasing them around Rome.
And the more interest there is, the more money somebody who has the pictures is going to make.
I have a bigger file of Liz Taylor than Jackie because she's more accessible. She attends premieres and public events, you know. Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton have a yacht, the Charisma. It was moored in the Thames River. I got a tip from one of the sailors. They're going to have a party that weekend. Adjacent to the yacht, there was a 5-story warehouse. I paid the watchman $12 to lock me in the warehouse, 4 p.m. Friday afternoon. I was a prisoner in that warehouse for the weekend. So I got a shopping bag full of groceries, hero sandwiches, cream soda, cake, and toilet paper, too. I saw rats in the first floor, second floor. In fact, the first night I was so scared of the rats, I went and slept on the roof. Saturday afternoon, sure enough, they came. I photographed them with 300mm lens from the window. They never spotted me, never. The next morning, got them eating breakfast, cursing at each other, just like the Virginia Woolf movie. This yacht, the Charisma, became a landmark for the tourists. The boats would come close. I caught Liz putting up gauze curtains for privacy. And I got the picture of the tourists with their cameras. They didn't see Liz, but I got the picture from above. I like that picture the best. Today, for those pictures, I could have got $100,000. But in those days, I only got $400 from the National Enquirer for a double-page spread. I was just happy that it's published.
Ron, is this worth it? Is it worth going through this kind of thing?
Well, for me it is. I love my work, photojournalism, and Paparazzi is just a tool that must be used to capture celebrities as they really are in a more truthful light.
Betty, what's your part in all of this? How do you view your role in all of this?
Ron Galella.
When Ron met Betty, it really was the greatest thing in his life. She was exactly the partner that Ron needed.
I'm going to have to ask that we double this amount. You know, and I know if you have to go back and replace this art, it's going to cost you more than my asking you to double on the price. I used to buy his pictures. I was vice president of Today is Sunday in Washington. We had been publishing his work for a year or two, and I said, oh, I hope someday I'll meet this man.
She had a soft voice on the phone, like Jackie. Always laughter in her voice.
One day the phone rings. He wants to come to the Kennedy Center that same night to photograph the premiere of Superman. And he said, can you get me in?
And I never thought she would be a beautiful girl. I said, these, girls fool you because they make up for their looks with nice personalities.
A little later in the evening, he flew in, and as a courtesy, I met him.
Well, when I laid eyes on Betty, I couldn't believe it. I said, look, this girl is beautiful. And I asked Betty, you sure you're not married? She said, no. And I said, I'm going to marry you.
And within 5 minutes of our meeting, he proposed marriage. And I said yes. And I thought, well, here's this tall, dark, good-looking hunk of a guy and looking ever so New York chic. I really was impressed.
And then we went to the nearest motel and shacked up.
Ron!
Welcome to my gardens. These are Italian gardens. I built this whole wall here, this Belgian block myself. And I built that fountain myself too, right there. Here's a windmill that I built with those flowers in the base. This is another area that I built up with these 4 columns. And you notice that I have put these planters on top with fake evergreens on top.
He buys silk and plastic plants. He brings them home and dips them in a 10-gallon bucket of polyurethane. And then he plants them and calls it his garden.
That's one example right there. This topiary was dipped and
It's
it's
an
fake.
utter, absolute humiliation.
Betty's parents were in the florist business. These are fake evergreens. Fake evergreens.
Ron is tight as the bark on a tree.
I think I only spent $20 for this one. And they come with lights, too. This is the rabbit cemetery for most of our rabbits. They're buried along here. Each rabbit represents another burial.
It's hard to put together the ruthless photojournalist with the guy who loves rabbits and pets rabbits and clearly is very fond of his rabbits.
Why bunnies? They're cleaner than cats, and they don't smell. And you could pick up their poop, it's like raisins. And they don't meow or bark. And they're so soft to touch. We just love bunnies, both of us.
I had come to him with a background in journalism, but not a specific study in photography. So naturally, I picked up a camera. I wanted to go with him, be with him, and experience the action for myself. And it was exciting in those days because it was the very zenith of the disco era.
Maybe you're feeding an appetite which shouldn't be fed when you get some of these pictures.
Every newspaper has a celebrity column, a gossip column.
People column, sure.
Yeah, it really became, at one time it wasn't that way. I've been in the business 20 years, and it's very tough.
Who are the tough ones to get? Who are the real toughies?
Brando is tough.
Brando.
And we're looking for Brando. And Brando is right here. We have about 8 boxes of Brando. He's a big man, more than physical. So I'm going to bring these out to show you. Marlon Brando.
Really thrilled. In a business where everyone's excited about everything and thrilled about everything, I was both excited and thrilled genuinely, and I could hardly stand it.
Naturally, I wanted pictures of Brando. He was sort of reclusive at that time, very private, on Tahiti, the island that he was at.
Ron told me that he was going to photograph Marlon Brando. And I said, oh, Ron, I'd love to see what you did. I didn't assign him to it, but I said, you know, looking for a freebie. You do it, and I'm happy to look at it. I'd really like to.
Marlon Brando, as a celebrity, was not a very nice guy. He never liked pictures of that day with Galella or any other day.
He was a nasty piece of shit, nasty man. Just was, you know.
Brando was going to be 5 o'clock at that studio. I went early, 12 noon, try to get information. Do you know anything about Brando coming in? No. I am leaving the building as a limo driver. I asked the chauffeur, you know anything about Brando? Yes, he's coming in by helicopter. That's all I had to know.
He had awakened that morning having missed a plane to New York that he had forgotten he was supposed to be on. 2 hours before tape time, nobody knew where he was.
I got Brando coming out of the helicopter, and then a few shots going into his limousine. Then I raced to the studio to get him there, arriving. But it was impossible to get any good pictures because it was wall-to-wall fans and photographers.
How much of what's been written about you can be trusted? There are a couple. There's an old restaurant that he was going to try to find. So we hopped in the car, getting past Ron Galella and some others out front.
I was prepared to follow the limousine, which I did. And the only person I allowed in my car was Paul Schmolbach.
When we followed him, there was nobody else following except me and him.
About 3 blocks into our ride, the driver said, Ron Galella's following us.
To be a good paparazzo, you have to race to beat the star to their destination. So you must be there on the sidewalk for their arrival.
I spent a lot of time in Ron's car driving around, and oftentimes we were chasing celebrities. So we were on these high-speed chases going through red lights, and it was hair-raising. Ron's a wild man behind the wheel.
What I call the paparazzi lane is the right-hand turn lane. But I use that lane to pass all the cars. So now I'm gonna do paparazzi, watch. Oh, shit.
He does the same thing in a buffet line, too. He cuts right in front of everybody.
Somehow, Ron found us as we got out in Chinatown. Mr. Brando said to me, "Which one is Galella?" Keep the same expression on your face, they'll get tired of taking the same picture. So we did that for a while.
And we started shooting. It goes on for a block or two, the same picture over and over again.
Marlon looks like some sort of Mongol assassin from the 13th century, and I look like what's known as a bit of rough trade.
I took about 10 shots. Then Brando called me over. He says,
"Are you going to take the same picture all of them?" And neither of us understood him, and Ron said, "What'd you say?" and leaned in a little.
"What else you want? You already have." In his raspy voice.
And he says, "Hey, Marlon, take those sunglasses off." In his usual polite way, of course.
Brando didn't answer him. He just reared back and one punch.
No, wham! Knocked out 5 teeth and blood gushing out my mouth. I put my handkerchief on my mouth.
I landed in the Bellevue Hospital. Who believes Marlon Brando overreacted? Who believes that was an appropriate response to Ron Galella?
Ron couldn't fight back. He had all these cameras on him.
And I said, "Paul, get in the car." Paul was like, with his mouth open, dumbfounded.
And with his camera hanging from its strap and sort of swinging, missing the picture of his career.
And I said, "You missed the picture." And he got in the car, we went to Bellevue.
Where they rewired his jaw and tried to fix his teeth.
What ran through my mind was, this is the most thrilling moment of my life, one of the most violent, and certainly the stupidest. I mean, I thought, what the hell are you doing? You get it. First of all, you're Marlon Brando. I'm only thinking these things, of course. You think you're gonna get away with this shit?
He told me to call his lawyer, which I did.
He got my wife, Linda, on the phone, and he was mumbling that he was just hit and he could hardly talk, and where's Stewart? And Linda said, and wisely so, "I think you ought to see a doctor in a hospital before you see a lawyer." And all right.
The same night after I'm stitched, I went to the show club, an event at the show club. Yeah, that shows you how strong I am. This thing was just, but it didn't hurt really, you know. Novocaine was still in.
I got this call the next morning, and yeah, said, "Ron, it's Ron Galella. John, I can't talk to you because my jaw's broken, and I'm sorry to be late, but I'll come over later this morning."
We sued Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando's deposition was like seeing a Marlon Brando movie. You couldn't understand a word he said. It was bizarre. We would ask the question, and the answer, we would look at each other and wouldn't know what he said, and we'd say to the reporter, read it back, and she would look at us and wouldn't know no one knew what he said. He offered a settlement of $40,000. Our instinct was to say no and try to increase upon it. We called Ron, and before the 40 came out, Ron said yes, because again, Ron said, "That's not what I'm about. It's not about the lawsuit to get the money. Whatever, that's fair, that's fine. Let me get on with it. It's just I don't want anyone to think they can go around punching me if I'm taking their picture. And that's what get that story out, not the money." However, he'll gladly tell you whenever he speaks about it that we took a fee.
The lawyers, of course, got 1/3. The lawyers got 1/3. My lawyers got 1/3. Lawyers get 1/3. I got $27,000, which is 2/3. It all went to the repairs of my caps, which took 3 times to get it right. A year later, we had a press conference in New York. Of course, I was not invited, but I was there in front of the press room, prepared with a helmet.
Ron has a sense of humor, a thing that some of his colleagues lack.
Paparazzo superstar.
His tactics are despicable. I think of him as a stalker. I think they're legal stalkers. You can take the First Amendment to its furthest point, and you have Ron Galella sitting there protected by it.
Well, there's certainly a First Amendment issue surrounding what paparazzi do. Paparazzi play a news-gathering function. They're allowed to use the streets, as you and I are. They're allowed to take photographs. The hard questions arise when you ask, well, are they allowed to take a picture into my home? Are they allowed to go up to my children if I'm a movie star and start talking to them and follow them around? And some of the things that were done to Jackie Kennedy, for example, Ron Galella went so far over the line that there's hardly a judge, however dedicated to the First Amendment, who wouldn't find something he did to violate the law.
From our perspective, the cards were stacked against us, and we kind of knew that going in. You had a judge, and keep in mind, no jury. This case was going to be decided by the judge. You had a judge who was appointed by her late husband, the President Kennedy. So we knew we had a problem.
Galella had no idea that he was walking into a buzzsaw.
The first 2 weeks of the trial, it was basically presentation of multiples of photographs that Ron took of Mrs. Onassis and the incidents around those photographs.
It was a remarkable menu of things that Galella did to gain access. She was having dinner in a restaurant. She jumped out from behind a coat rack. A coat rack. She went to the theater. He went down the aisle, got her in her seat. He went into John's school to see the Christmas pageant.
He tried to get her in a juxtaposition with a Santa Claus. Ron had hired a guy, dressed him as Santa, and kept dogging her all throughout the day, trying to get this man in the Santa Claus suit to stand next to Jackie. She dodged him all day.
Celebrities like Jackie seem to get annoyed that I after them too much. So I put disguises on, wigs, have mustaches, afro wigs too I had. It worked sometimes. Jackie had a maid. I got friendly with her, took her to coffee, and had a few dates with her to get information, mainly. First of all, she said, Jackie has a whole closet full of the magazines. See, in court, Jackie says that she don't collect her magazines, but she does. She also gave me tips when Jackie's going to the hairdresser or have a facial treatment. But one day, in front of the building, Jackie appeared. She saw us. Greta was fired a few days later. I felt very bad, but I don't think she loved the job that much. That's why she gave me the tips.
Has she ever said anything to you when she's seen you taking a picture?
Oh, yes. Once at the airport, September '69, she says to a New York City policeman, lock this man up.
That's all she's ever said?
Oh, she said other things.
Ever say hello to you?
No, no.
Why did I have the obsession with Jackie? Why? I analyzed it. Because I had no girlfriend. I wasn't tied down, married. She was my girlfriend in a way.
This was a personal relationship. It was a relationship that was conducted through the camera, but it was nevertheless a personal relationship.
That's Jackie at her most fetching. Don't touch me, don't ask me any questions, don't follow me. He really captured something that was very elusive about her.
He loved her, and he loved her children. And I'm sure he never thought that he was putting them in harm's way. I don't think he would have liked that, the idea of it. They may have perceived that they were in harm's way, but he didn't feel that.
Both Jackie and Ron benefited from this push me, pull me thing.
Mrs. Onassis, are you pleased with the way the trial is going so far?
Yes, I am.
You feel that today was a turning point in this trial?
Well, there are ups and downs in every trial. Nobody goes all the way up or goes all the way down.
Ron, are you disappointed by what happened today on the stand?
No, not really. Every case has its up and downs, you know, and it's...
You must have heard that somewhere.
Ron produced a Christmas card, and he sent it out to people as a joke.
That was my greeting card for that 1970. I put Santa as Aries Onassis. I put a cigar in his mouth, dark sunglasses, and this Santa Claus looked like Aries because he had a big nose. Santa has given me money because Aries attempted to pay me to settle the case. I sent this card to Jackie. My lawyer said it was the worst thing that I did. Well, Jackie brought this up in a trial. It was not good for me. It was bad.
Any reasonable person would have seen that card as extortion. He was saying, pay me off and I'll stop.
They made such an issue out of it during the trial that Ron started reading into his own Christmas card more than it was there. And finally, when he was asked out of pure, just out of frustration, they said to him, didn't you mean that that you wanted a job or you wanted a bribe to get rid of her, to stop seeing her? He said, yes. To him, it was an ordeal. And I would say to him, Ron, why? He said, now they stopped questioning me. Isn't that easy? But it's going to work against you. She said, no, it'll never work against me. He said, what I do is good and positive, so we'll get rid of this part of the questioning.
Eventually, Judge Cooper became quite annoyed with Ron Galella and adopted the view that he should be kept a distance away.
Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis won a case in federal court today. She got a permanent injunction against
freelance photographer Ronald Galella, ordering him not to get within 50 yards of Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis or within 75 yards of her children.
Ron Galella was seen as a villain. I received telephone calls after some of my reports damning Ron for what he had been doing. Matter of fact, I received a letter from one viewer and addressed to Ron Galella, care of the television station. You are a rat. I pray that you will be repaid by God, and I pray there is one, that you get paid back for the misery you are causing a woman who has gone through hell, a hell caused by another maniac like you. You are stupid, monstrous, and slimy. You should be deported to an island to rot. Unsigned. Was that the prevailing sentiment at the time? I don't know if it was as vocal as this, but a lot of people were anti-Ron Galella.
This is Marvin Scott with the story of a photographer whose lens has been capped by Jackie Onassis. Now, the court order says you've got to stay 100 yards from the building and 50 yards from Mrs. Onassis and her children. You carry a tape measure with you?
No.
A yard counter?
No, I don't. I need a referee.
You think you'll be photographing her again soon?
I hope so. I hope that this court order is off me. So I would like to get back photographing my favorite subject. And
What kind of human being does it take to photograph people who do not want to be photographed?
Oh, they want to be
Whether they're
photographed.
celebrities
they
or
want
not.
to be
No,
photographed.
that's
Yes.
not
they want to be-
necessarily true. And it just doesn't stop him. He will do anything necessary to get that shot.
Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt are the #1 hot couple. So I'll go after them like I went after the old timers. I think we're going this way. Ron Galella.
Okay.
Angelina! Angie! I'm gonna go in the front. Fuck it.
Kicked out.
Dear Brad and Angelina, did you receive my FedEx press package with a tube of my books? While covering the Changeling screening tonight, I was unable to meet both of you, but I did get some good pictures. Would you be so kind as to give an opportunity meeting you before you leave town? Does that make sense, meeting you with me, I should say? I meeting you, huh? Should I add anything? Hope to hear from you soon, something like that.
We know that if you write a letter to Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, the chances of them ever even seeing it is 0. The chances of them reading it is below 0. And the chances of them doing anything based upon that letter is way below 0.
Should we try to phone?
But Ron will still write a letter to Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. That's what gets Ron up in the morning. That's what gets him in his car going through the Lincoln Tunnel one more time and just doing what he does.
These restrictions, the 100 yards and the 75 yards and the 50 yards, essentially put Ron out of business.
I appealed the decision, and the appeal was over in 1975.
The appellate court said, in the exercise of discretion, that was overkill. Instead of 150 yards, I'll do 25 feet.
Ron said, I'm back in business, and he started to shoot Jacqueline Onassis and the children again.
Jackie Onassis made a very rare visit to Los Angeles. Ron was there, and I knew something was up because he just wanted to make sure, are you going to be there? Yes, I'm going to be there. And I positioned myself by the limousine, and I shot 2 frames of it. The first frame, the flash didn't go off, it wasn't right. In the second frame, he pulls out this tape measure. He made it himself.
From a photographic standpoint, it's wonderful from a subject standpoint.
Yeah, this isn't one of the great ones.
No,
though.
but
It's a snapshot.
I would have thrown this away.
I know you would.
I'm just saying I would have thrown it away.
I certainly could look through Ron's book and be, quite impressed with some of the moments. You take a second look at them. But it's the subject that attracts you, not his photograph of it.
Let's say one underground room with 18-foot lead walls was the only thing that survived in the year 10,000. And they had Ron Galella's 3 million pictures in it. And the archaeologists from outer space would come and they'd find this, and they'd have to recreate civilization from that. Would you rather have that over, let's say, if they had found the same thing with Walker Evans or Richard Avedon or Titian or Leonardo da Vinci?
Yeah, there's Ringo.
See about
That's a
5
good
pictures
picture.
and think, God, I wish I'd shot that.
That's a very good picture.
How do you feel about Ron Galella getting in the Museum of Modern Art, which gives him a certain level of credibility in the art world? Because now...
I'm sure it's because you look at what's being shot
When did you get
during a
married?
period of time. What represents photography, in certain decades.
I think what's going on now with curators wanting Ron's work for galleries all across the world.
Wow, this looks fantastic.
Knowing that, hey, what's the difference between one of Ron's shots and a Walker Evans photo that he photographed in the New York City subway?
How many do you have now? I think 100. 100.
So now, 30 years later, people are eating these pictures up.
For me, he's the one. He's an artist, he's an icon. He's the Pope of paparazzi. He invented kind of a new style.
It's got energy, it's got life in it. Humor.
As an artist, I think you have to keep on pushing yourself. And he found this vehicle. And the only thing that he pushed himself to do was do more of the same of that.
Summer of 1981, I got a call from David McGow. I was at home in Yonkers.
Oh, Ron, get here quickly. Jackie's going to the movie theater.
Jackie was there seeing the film Death in Venice.
So Ron jumped in the car without me, and they photographed Jackie coming out of the theater and hailing a cab.
And sure enough, the taxi cab broke down. So now Jackie gets out of the cab on 8th Avenue, and 8th Avenue was pretty sleazy back then.
She walked in the street looking for a cab, and this prolonged the tape.
Well, Ron was very excited. You could tell that she was getting more and more angry every time she heard his voice. And then she finally turned to him and said, "You stay away from me, or I'll see you in court again."
I think she may have said that.
He said, "Oh, Jackie, I love you." He was just happy that his picture was in the paper with Jackie. He was thrilled about that.
And that became evidence for her that he indeed had broken the injunction.
Jacqueline Onassis listed her grievances against one of her most persistent followers today, photographer Ron Galella.
Charges that he violated a 1975 court order to come no closer than 25 feet from Mrs. Onassis.
Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis looked anxious to return to federal district court so that she could give her own testimony.
Photographer Ron Galella was told today by a New York judge that if he ever does it again, he'll be sent to jail for 6 years. Galella told the judge he has chosen a new subject for his photographic pursuit.
Princess Grace, I don't know whether you've followed the news recently, but we have a photographer in this country called Ron Galella.
Yes, I know him very well. Is he here?
And
I
Ron...
haven't seen him today yet. He's slipping.
Ron has said that he's under court orders now to shoot no more photographs of Mrs. Onassis, and that you are now his new #1 favorite. How do you feel about that?
Should I lock the door so they don't come in? We usually lock the door in the dark room. Okay, next. Place the negative.
Literally anyone can be a paparazzo today. It doesn't have to be good quality.
And we open the lens and we focus.
The actual skill of being a photographer has really descended completely to the point where it's unnecessary.
And the shortstop, that stops the development. Okay, now I put the light on. Then you look and you say, well, maybe it's a little light here. I could darken that. See, it's a little too light. No good. Darken it. That's how you darken it. When I heard Jackie died, I went to the building, 1040 Fifth Avenue, but I did not shoot pictures. It was like a mourning for me, sadness to see a great, iconic, my most famous subject dead, you know. I don't think she knew it was me. That's why she smiled a little.
I think in the end she was maybe posing for him more than we know. So she must have had a little feeling for Ron.
Whether you like it or not, there are many, many more photographs published of celebrities than there are of famine, war, or any of the other, important things that are happening around the planet. Count it in either dollar terms or the number of images supplied to the media. They're probably the most important photojournalists alive today.
It was
fascinating
really,
case. Look all the attention it got. The courtroom full of reporters.
People waiting online.
Incredible. And the best proof is that here we are, 35 years later, still debating the issues. Yeah. And it's been taught in law schools. Yes. It's been
naive
textbook.
And the case is cited over and over again.
Absolutely right.
And over again.
Who's filming?
Notorious B.I.G. You should know that.
Any stars?
He's the paparazzi. What do you don't know who this guy is? Are you kidding me? He photographed Jackie O when she died here.
That's right.
I know that. I know who you are. I'm in show business. I ought to know.
Yeah.
These guys, they tell them, know your business, right?
And Brando knocked 5 teeth out of my jaw.
Who did?
Marlon Brando. You know?
Yeah, right. I remember that. Yeah. He punched you. Why? He was a wise ass, right?
Yeah.
What'd you do to him? You got in his face? Yeah, he got in his face for the camera. Took his picture.
And he punched you.
And they talk about Sean Penn being a wise guy, right?
He's another prick. So who's it? Any big stars?
Angela Bassett. She's in there.
She's in it.
Right.
You know.
Right.
A couple rappers.
Okay. Thank you. You have to learn to ask questions.
Ron Galella, sometimes, in his case, he didn't deserve the First Amendment. But even when he does, we protect him more because we don't want to start picking and choosing between who we protect and who we don't protect.
See, there's the tent. That's where the arrivals are.
He's really the price tag of the First Amendment.
Took millions of pictures, thousands of them are hanging in museums, but so what, Ron Galella will go down as this obscene, bottom-feeding, snapshot tabloid so-called journalist. You just wait and see. Wait 50 years and check it out, all right?
Hi.
Hey, Ron.
Hi, Dave.
How's it going?
It's hard to say whether he will even be remembered in 50 years' time. In a way, it doesn't really matter because Ron's life and Ron's work is very much about the now.
He looks so familiar, but I can't remember what his name is. It's John Belushi. John Belushi, there you go.
That's who that is. I'm gonna cheat on this one. I don't know who this is, but it says it's Tyler Burton. It's a beautiful photo.
I showed pictures the other day of Judy Garland. Honest to Christ, a lot of them didn't know who she was.
This guy, I have no idea. No.
Galella.
Is he a director of some sort?
It's crazy. It's just crazy. You know, when I was doing it, and the greatest stars, there was hardly any photographers around.
I'm not sure who that is. Another beautiful girl, Bardot. She looks like a model, but is she an actress?
My picture taking is finished. There's no need for me to shoot today because there's very little to be shot. The iconic stars are gone. That's the greatest thing in my life, is to sell these prints and my books. There's so many books that I want to do.
I think this is Jacqueline Onassis again, right? Looks like the same person. Jacqueline Onassis and Bobby Kennedy? Yes.
What I do now is, it's the harvest of my life. Millions of pictures. I can't count them. It's millions.